This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Well, I finally got around to doing it. As I mentioned in my recent wildly popular video on the top organization systems, I had actually mounted my entire Honeycomb wall backwards, causing me to need to redo the entire thing. It wasn't fun. Fortunately, I decided to make lemons out of lemonade, improving my setup as I went along. So I actually used this as an opportunity to go through all 600 plus available remixes, choosing the best accessories, upgrades, and components for this awesome system. And in this video, I'm going to share a bunch of my favorites, why you should print them, and what to look out for. Roll up your sleeves, clear off your walls, and get ready to hide more filament from your spouse or roommate. It's another organization episode. First and foremost, I want to solve the single most annoying thing with my previous setup, and that is mounting circular things using simple pegs, especially if those circular things are tall. Fortunately, you can now do that with this awesome parametric device mount by Jason Galbraith. Simply pop open OpenSCAD, measure and input the parameters of your circular device, and it spits out the perfect mount. Pro tip here. You definitely don't need the entire half circle of this model, so unless you want it for some reason, you can actually set your slicer to stop the print halfway or use the built-in cutting feature on slicers like Orca Slicer. That'll not only save you some filament, but it also means that you don't need to support the entire bridge at the top of the arch. Nice. Now, while you have OpenSCAD open, let's talk a little bit about these two parameterized versions of the base plate for the HSW system, because I know many of you are probably only printing the available sizes. But if you're like me, you're going to find yourself with little odds and ends or the need to get creative as you work your way around outlets and so on. Yes, you could use that built-in cut function of your slicer that we just talked about, or even use negative volume modifiers. But you risk the edges not being exactly half the width if you ever need to juxtapose them to another base. Instead, you should use this OpenSCAD version to input exactly how many squares you need in each axis and get the perfect edges every time. Oh, and if the shape that you need isn't exactly square, fear not, because there is also an OpenSCAD version that allows you to make custom shapes as well. I wish I'd known that before I printed all kinds of tiny strips and connected them to one another. Speaking of connecting one plate to another, one thing that drove me crazy the first time around was that I often wanted to put the screw hole on one of the edges or add a screw hole to a different shape of mounting connectors than was provided. Sure, I could go through the effort of modeling my own connectors, and while there are a ton of different remixes and all kinds of alternative connector types available, which I'll link in the description below, I found it a whole lot easier and faster to just take these special countersunk to hole adapters, which it turns out I had all along in the original files, and use them to add a countersunk hole wherever I damn well please. Enjoy. Now, before I discovered the awesome circular mount, I used these for pretty much everything, and they still have a ton of use. They're basically like the original hooks by Rasta P, but with longer gaps. This makes them great for storing thicker stuff like battery chargers, hard disks, and so on. Now, pay attention to the fact that there are side versions and bottom versions, though you can use a hook in the wrong way to get unique angles if you need them. Back in my day, we only had simple shelves for the Honeycomb wall, and we made do just fine. But these days, you can get shelves, buckets, and even bins. Now, I like a good bin as much as the next chap, so I wanted to feature this one from Scooter McGavin. Originally, I used his various trays with front lips, and they've been great, but if I were to do it all over again, I'd probably choose these over shelves for my more expensive stuff like camera lenses. Though, come to think of it, there are cooler ways to hold cylindrical things like camera lenses or bottles. So let's now look at these awesome bottle containers, and really the entire collection of models from Raw Beast. While I like the design, it is rather hard to print in something like PETG with all the retractions, but still the opportunity to add honeycombs to your honeycombs, well, that's something special. Though, if you want a simple bottler holder that won't be so hard on retractions, you can also check out the bottle holders for honeycomb storage wall. Again, all linked in the description. Now, while I've got my X to the Z exhibit on, I heard that you like organization systems, so we added an organization system to your organization system by putting a Gridfinity base plate on your honeycomb wall. Now you can easily pop in any of your Gridfinity accessories whenever you need them. Sweet! Speaking of wherever you need them, chances are once you have one surface honeycombed, you're gonna want more. And that's all well and good for flat surfaces. In fact, there are even adapters out there for cubicles, command hooks for walls you can't drill into, and much, much more. But what if you just need more? Here, again, I'll share the Honeycomb wall shelf support brackets that I designed, which allow you to input your favorite HSW accessories on the inside and outside of your shelf brackets themselves. This is particularly great for things like lights that you want to stick out from the wall a little bit. Enjoy! Speaking of things that I designed for use with things like camera accessories and lights, check out this cold shoe mount. I love it because it makes it dead simple to slide on your extra lights, microphones, or, my favorite use, your actual hot shoe covers for your camera that you're always losing. It's intentionally a very tight fit to keep things from falling off, but I've really been enjoying it, so if you get value out of it, make sure to give the model a like and this video while you're at it. Okay, hang on a sec, I have a bunch more awesome prints for you guys, but first I have to take a quick moment to thank this video's sponsor, which is Squarespace. I've actually been a long-time Squarespace customer, and I used their Squarespace scheduling for scheduling all my personal meetings and all of our podcast episodes on the Infill podcast. And I absolutely love how easy to use it is. But actually, Squarespace is known much more for their website builder, which brings that same ease of use to building your own website, portfolio, or online store. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been a WordPress user for something like a decade, and WordPress might be a lot of things, but easy isn't one of them. In fact, I kind of hate using it, and trying to keep it updated, and fixing it every time it gets hacked. So unless you too want to hate using and maintaining your website like I do, then I suggest that you just head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/thenextlayer to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All right, let's get back to those honeycomb accessories, shall we? The original model that is provided by Rasta-P might make a great option for some, but my SD cards actually got stuck in one of them, and one of them was destroyed, so I decided to come up with another solution. I remixed someone else's design to get rid of the micro SD cards that I didn't need, and I made it a simple, whole peg without the need to print the entire clasp. I also made a version with empty and full text embossed on it so that you can keep your cards straight. Enjoy! There are lots of hooks out there for the HSW system, but if you need to hang something big and heavy like, say, a gimbal, then this chunky boy from TC is one of the best ones out there for you. Though it gets minus 100 points for not putting HSW in the name and therefore making me search for it for half an hour, I have been successfully hanging stuff off of these since day one, and they just work. Though, now that I think of it, they also have kind of a poor design because there's actually no good way to print the curved bit without sagging, even if you use supports, since it's rounded, and you need to print it lying down for strength. Someone should really just remix this to use a chamfered bent instead. Hint, hint. While we're waiting for that remix, let's look at another similar one. Sometimes you need a hook, but other times you just need a pin, for example, if you don't have a lot of clearance in what you're actually hanging. These handy pins are, well, really they're just hexagonal plastic pins. Not much to say there. I guess just check them out. That may have been a really simple model, but the next one is anything but. It's a fully compliant mount that you can use to secure cables nicely to your honeycomb wall. I've been looking for something very similar to this because I freaking hate cables, as you all know. And so I was thrilled to find it. Maybe this will mean that you won't see so many dangling cables in all my B-roll shots in the near future. But there's only one way to find out. Hit that subscribe button. Here's another one that I designed, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. It's a simple puck adapter to attach a MagSafe charger, in this case the 3 keys one, but it might also fit the original, to your HSW. Why simply print a phone mount when you could also print one that charges your phone as it's hanging? I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't know about all of you guys, but the idea of sharp cutters pointing up just kind of irks me, and it feels unsafe. So instead, I chose to print out this awesome design which features the ability to store 2 sets of pliers or cutters with their eye pokey bits pointing down. This model gets, again, minus 100 points for not being printable without supports on the actual honeycombs, but I guess we're all human. Speaking of being human and making mistakes, you won't believe how long and how many prototypes it took me to design this simple one. It's a Benchy display stand for your HSW. Sounds simple, but it took forever to make it so that it would hold the Benchy without breaking the chimney. I also recently uploaded an improved version of it with little cutouts on the top for another row of Benchies because I'm constantly knocking down the Benchies on the top row. Make sure to upload your makes because I love seeing you guys use my designs. Alright, that's all the models we have time for this week, but if you have any great HSW models that I didn't mention in this video, please feel free to share them in the comments below, and or make sure to check out the Reddit community that I created for this awesome organization system. Once again, I'd like to thank Squarespace for their support, and a special thank you to my Patreon supporters who are helping me turn this into a full-time job, $3 at a time. And of course, thanks to all of you for liking, subscribing, and commenting, as well as sharing, because believe it or not, it really does make a difference. Happy organizing, and I'll see all of you on the next layer.